Because revenge isn't just about exposing someone else. It's about surviving what comes after. I had to be ready for the fallout, the denial, the lies, the apologies that come too late. So I practiced silence. I practiced control. And most importantly, I practiced letting go. Gathering the truth piece by piece. Truth doesn't need drama. It needs patience. I didn't hack anything. I didn't snoop recklessly. I simply paid attention. I noticed how his stories changed depending on who he talked to. I noticed dates that didn't match. I noticed moments when he forgot which lie he had already told. And slowly, the truth assembled itself. Not in one big reveal, but in fragments. A message preview here, a receipt there, a calendar reminder that didn't make sense. Each piece alone meant nothing. Together, they told a story he never wanted told. I didn't rush, because the most powerful truths are the ones that speak for themselves. The decision that changed me. There was a moment late one night when I almost confronted him. He was asleep beside me, breathing deeply. His phone was face down on the nightstand. All I had to do was wake him, say the words, end it. But I didn't, because I realized something important. If I confronted him now, he would apologize, he would cry, he would promise to change. And nothing would truly change. He would learn to hide better. I didn't want excuses. I wanted honesty. And honesty only comes when the lies can no longer stand. So I made a choice. I would let him keep lying until the truth could no longer be ignored. Preparing for the moment he never expected. I started thinking about timing. Truth delivered too early gets dismissed. Truth delivered too late loses impact. I needed the right moment, not for revenge, but for clarity. I imagined his face when the truth surfaced, the confusion, the panic, the realization that his carefully built world was about to collapse. But more importantly, I imagined how I would feel, free. I wasn't planning to embarrass him publicly. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone unnecessarily. I was planning to take back control of my life. And that meant choosing a moment where I could speak calmly and walk away without looking back.
The day I stopped protecting him. There's a strange shift that happens when you stop protecting someone who never protected you. For years, I had defended him without even realizing it. I covered for his moods. I softened his mistakes. I told myself stories that made his behavior easier to accept. But one morning, as I watched him tie his shoes and rush out the door, something clicked. I didn't owe him silence anymore. Not because I wanted revenge, but because the truth deserved space to breathe. That day, I stopped adjusting my life around his lies. I stopped waiting for him to come home for dinner. I stopped checking my phone for his messages. And he noticed. He asked if something was wrong. I smiled and said, "I'm just tired." For the first time, that wasn't a lie. When he started losing control. The less I cared, the more anxious he became. It was subtle at first. He asked more questions. He came home earlier. He tried to touch me more often. It felt forced, like someone trying to fix something without knowing what was broken. One evening he asked, "Are you okay? You seem different." I looked at him for a long moment. "I am different," I said calmly. He laughed nervously as if I was joking, but I wasn't. People who lie rely on predictability. They need you to stay the same so they can continue. The moment you change, their control weakens, and he felt it. The truth moves closer to the surface. A few days later, he slipped.
He told me he was going to meet a coworker for dinner, but he forgot something important. He had already told me that coworker was out of town. I didn't correct him. I didn't react. I just nodded. But I saw the flash of panic in his eyes. That was the moment I knew. The truth was ready. Because lies don't collapse all at once. They crack. Then they crumble. And finally, they fall under their own weight. The night I spoke one sentence. The moment came sooner than I expected. We were sitting at the table, eating in silence. The air felt heavy. He looked at me and sighed. I feel like you're pulling away. If something's wrong, you should tell me. I set my fork down slowly. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse. I didn't attack. I just said one sentence. I know about her. The room went completely still. His face drained of color. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. That silence said everything. Because when the truth finally arrives, it doesn't need explanation. When the masks finally fell, for a few seconds after I spoke, time felt frozen. He stared at me like he didn't recognize me, like I had suddenly changed into someone dangerous. About who? He asked, forcing a laugh, but his hands were shaking. That told me everything. I didn't answer right away. I let the silence stretch. Silence has a way of making guilt loud. The one you text at night, I said calmly. The one you meet when you think I'm not around. His shoulders dropped. The mask slipped. And for the first time in months, I saw fear in his eyes. Not fear of losing me, fear of being exposed. The lies that came too late. He started talking fast, denying, explaining, blaming stress, blaming confusion, blaming everything except himself. It's not what you think, he said. It didn't mean anything. That line hurt more than anger ever could, because if it meant nothing, then what did we mean? I listened without interrupting. I didn't cry, I didn't yell, and that confused him even more. He expected drama, he expected emotion. He didn't expect control. When he finally stopped talking, the room felt empty. I looked at him and said, "You've been lying to both of us." That's when he froze, because that truth hit deeper. When the other truth came out, he sat back, rubbing his face. "She doesn't know everything," he admitted quietly. That single sentence confirmed what I already knew. He wasn't just cheating, he was manipulating. I asked him if she knew about me. He shook his head. I asked if he planned to tell me the truth. He stayed silent. That silence was the loudest answer of all. In that moment, I felt something unexpected. Relief. Because clarity is freeing. Walking away with my power. I stood up from the table. He reached for my hand, finally, desperate. "Please," he said, "we can fix this." I gently pulled away. "No," I said. "You had choices. You made them." I didn't threaten him. I didn't insult him. I didn't beg. I simply told him I was done. And that broke him more than anger ever could. Because when you walk away calmly, you take all the power with you. The aftermath he never prepared for. I thought the hardest part would be walking away. I was wrong. The hardest part was what came after. The quiet. Not the peaceful kind. The heavy kind that sits on your chest when everything you knew is suddenly gone. I stayed with a friend that night. I didn't take much with me. Just a bag, my phone, and a version of myself that felt strangely lighter. He texted me nonstop. Apologies, promises, long messages filled with words he had never said when it mattered. I didn't reply. because words don't mean much after trust is gone. By morning, I realized something important. This wasn't just the end of a relationship. This was the end of his control over the story. When the truth finds its way out. I didn't rush to tell anyone. I let the truth move at its own pace. But lies don't survive long without silence protecting them. He started panicking, calling, showing up, asking mutual friends if I had said anything. That fear told me everything. Because people who are innocent don't worry about exposure. People who lie do. Eventually, someone asked me directly what happened. And this time, I didn't cover for him. I didn't exaggerate. I didn't add emotion. I just told the truth. Calmly, clearly. And the truth did what it always does. It spread. When she learned the truth. I didn't plan for this part, but it happened. She reached out to me. Her message was short. Did you know about me? I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I answered honestly. Yes, and he lied to both of us. She didn't respond right away. Hours passed. Then she sent another message. He told me you were just a roommate. That sentence hit me hard, not because of jealousy, but because it showed how far his lies went. She wasn't my enemy. She was another person caught in the same web, and now she knew. The collapse of his double life. After that, everything unraveled quickly. His control over the narrative slipped. His stories didn't match anymore. His explanations fell apart. People started asking questions, and for the first time, he didn't have answers. The life he built on half-truths began to collapse under its own weight. Not because I attacked him, but because I stopped protecting him. And that was the most powerful move of all. The silence that brought closure. Weeks passed, then months. The noise slowly faded. No more messages, no more apologies, no more excuses pretending to be love. At first, the silence scared me. It felt like standing in an empty room after a storm, unsure of what had been destroyed and what remained. But over time, that silence became something else. Peace. I started sleeping through the night again. I laughed without forcing it. I noticed small things, sunlight through windows, music on the radio, the calm of not being lied to. I realized I hadn't just lost him. I had regained myself. What I learned about betrayal. Betrayal doesn't always come from cruelty. Sometimes it comes from weakness, from people who want everything but are willing to risk anyone to get it. I learned that trust isn't proven by words, it's proven by consistency. And once that consistency breaks, love alone cannot fix it. I stopped asking myself why I wasn't enough, because the truth was simple. His betrayal had nothing to do with my worth. It was about his choices. Justice without revenge. People often asked me if I felt satisfied, if exposing the truth made me feel victorious. The honest answer? I felt free. I didn't destroy his life. I didn't seek to hurt him. I just stepped out of the lie. And when I did, the truth handled the rest. That's real justice. Not loud, not cruel, but undeniable. The lesson I carry forward. If there's one thing I would tell anyone listening to this story, it's this. Pay attention to how someone makes you feel. Love shouldn't leave you confused. Trust shouldn't require constant reassurance. And silence shouldn't feel heavier than words. Walking away doesn't mean you lost. Sometimes it means you finally won. Final reflection. The truth always finds its way. He cheated on me. And yes, I exposed the truth. But what really changed everything wasn't revenge. It was choosing honesty over fear. And not choice, it gave me my life back.